Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I like to discuss a report in the Telegraph that businesses are now pricing in a Labour government next year as they scramble to set up links with the government in waiting. And I'll also be explaining why this matters strategically for the election campaign itself. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, the Telegraph have published an article about a shift within the business community. It reports that CEOs have been asked, what the organisation is doing to prepare for a Labour government, what links have they got. Remember, for example, why Keir Starmer hired Sue Gray as his chief of staff. It's because neither he nor really that many of his top team have got experience in government. They need to hit the ground running with their legislative programme, and they need to be advised by someone who knows how to get things done. Gray will be taking up her new role, I think it's next month, meaning that the Labour leadership will be well prepared for assuming office with a general election next year. But large businesses basically got the same issue. In fact, it's not even large businesses. Any organisation in the habit of lobbying the government has the same issue. They need to understand how the government works in order to get things done. Well, the government's going to change, so the way it gets things done is going to change. So there's now a rush for firms to hire people who are close to Labour to advise them. This is why so many Tory MPs are a bit despondent about their immediate future. They're currently able to moonlight as advisors to big business, providing contacts, telling them how things work so that they can get the inside track. And we know that this advice is valuable to big businesses. The Led by Donkeys sting, the operation where they pretended to be offering up to £10,000 a day for the services of prominent backbench Conservative MPs. That these backbench MPs believed that they could command such a fee meant that they knew others who had done so. Indeed, they themselves may have done in the past. Not that this is talking about hiring Labour MPs as such, just people who work closely with Labour and understand how they operate. The quote in the article is, "We made a conscious decision at the start of the year to hire senior people with a background in centre-left politics. The value of their stock is currently climbing." The article suggests that firms are paying top dollar as well, to reflect the fact there aren't really that many people able to do the job. The article also suggests that some who might be available within the parliamentary parties, so Labour MPs, are turning offers down because, they're in with a shout of becoming ministers in the new government. But the spending is a sign that businesses are confident that Labour are going to form a government soon. And let me tell you why I think that's important. Obviously, I don't think we really care that some who have worked with either the current or the previous Labour leadership are getting a new job. I don't think we're bothered about that. What matters is the confidence. So if we go back to 2015, one of the Tories' main campaign tricks was to try and suggest that a vote for Labour was not actually a vote for a Labour government, which people did not mind at the time, but a vote for a Labour SNP coalition, with the breakup of the UK following suit. In the end, that vote for Cameron is actually what may deliver that outcome, but that is by the by. The point is that the Tories really hammered home the idea of Ed Miliband being in Alex Salmond's pocket, with campaign posters showing literally that. And why was that such a large part of their campaign? Because voters did not really approve of Conservative austerity. They didn't approve of what they'd done in their first 5 years of office, and they were not at all objecting to Labour returning. So the Conservatives convinced enough key voters in enough English marginals that Labour can't actually win a majority. If you vote Labour, you might stop us forming a majority, but you can't get Labour to form a majority. All you can do is produce a hung parliament where, yes, Labour might have more seats than we do and get to form the coalition, but they'll form it with the SNP. That was the pitch, that their coalition partners wouldn't be the Lib Dems, it'd be the SNP. They used a similar line in 2017 as well, and it was all designed to convince people that they shouldn't be thinking about what Labour were offering them, because that's not what they're going to get. What they're going to get is a coalition, so they had to think about what Labour might have to concede to make it work. And so people voted Conservative as the lesser of two evils. And the Conservatives are trying the same trick again this year. After the local elections, there was a huge emphasis on the results apparently showing Labour in hung parliament territory. Now, if voters believe this, that can absolutely go back to that coalition threat campaign, because people are sheeple if they sort of think, oh, we're seeing that it's going to be a hung parliament. They're not going to look at the poll and go, that'd be ridiculous. You know, the Tories would love to make the claim that they are the only party who can form a stable government. So it's vital to stop voters thinking this. Fortunately, Labour are so far ahead in the polls that not many are taking this outcome seriously. Being honest, I think Labour could actually use the same tactic in reverse. So the SNP have said that they would rather keep the Conservatives in government if Labour don't agree to another independence referendum. So Labour have already been pointing this out. So they could easily say, actually, I think what you'll find is it's the Tories who are most likely to get into bed with the SNP. After all, it was the Tories who gave the SNP an independence referendum. Not really sure why Labour didn't point that out in 2015 and 2017, but hopefully we will not have to see any such nonsense from either of the main parties. You know, when the only credible Tory client paper, the Telegraph, is reporting that businesses are so sure that a Labour government is coming, that they are spending over the odds on preparing for it. It's inconceivable that voters in general are going to seriously get the impression that Labour are in hung parliament territory, which means that voters will be able to consider Labour's offer in itself when deciding how to vote, not trying to work out how that offer might change in a coalition, which, although it did look likely for a while, has not looked credible for a year now. In fact, what chance the Tories had of clawing back to polling parity and getting themselves back into that position where they can threaten a Labour coalition with someone else was completely lost last autumn. And I don't mean with Liz Truss either. That gave them a huge problem, of course. But even then it was recoverable. I think the problem was when it transpired that Rishi Sunak, their last shot, had absolutely no idea how to get his party ready for a general election. And as I've said before, the political landscape's not going to get any easier for the Tories. The global economy will continue to improve and we will ride the coattails to an extent. But interest rates continue to rise, public services continue to be dismantled, Labour continue to address voters' concerns, while the Conservatives respond with, yeah, never mind that, what about culture wars? Even the Mail on Sunday, the weekend, had resorted to begging Sunak not to go down the culture wars route, because anyone with even the vaguest idea about anything related to politics knows it hasn't been working, and doubling down on it will not suddenly make it work. It's almost like the Tories pushing this culture wars. It's like an ignorant Brit on holiday trying to ask directions of a local and they're not speaking English. Oh, I know. I'll ask the question again, but louder. That'll work. You know, that major businesses are splashing the cash in the expectation of a Labour government certainly tells you that they're not convinced that the Tories have a route to victory, narrow or otherwise, and that the most credible of the Tory gutter press can openly write about this means that they've given up the ghost as well. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.